Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Twist. It's a podcast where we normally talk about Round the Twist, but for today, and 1 week only, as part of our season 2 to 3 break, we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing the top 10 things that you remember from the 90s. We're a very 90s-centric show here, and to talk about it, with me here, myself being Joe Lewis, my friend being Anthony Bull.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for that very awkward and sort of stunted introduction. But
I thought it was fine.
I don't know. The way you said it kind of sounded really weird. But yes, that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going to go do a very original idea that we had. It was a spark of genius. We thought we'd reflect on the top 10 things about the 90s, you know, that left us flawed and asking for more, you know?
Extremely original.
There's things that only 90s kids would remember, you know?
There's no top websites that would do anything like this.
There's no website that would ever do this, and if anyone does, they owe us money.
Yeah, who would do a top 10 list?
Who would do?
I feel like we're on the cutting edge of the internet.
We are on the cutting edge. We are on the bleeding edge of innovation, right here. You heard it first, guys.
Let's cut the ado.
I do.
Let's cut the ado.
Is that...
Can you say that?
I don't
Without
know.
Without further ado, can you cut the ado? Let's just cut it.
Maybe. I guess so, yeah. I'm not sure what ado even means, really.
This is not cutting the ado. This is adding to the ado.
This is more making the ado bigger, right?
Let's start with your number 10. Number 10.
Number 10. Yes. Sorry. That was a weird way you said it.
I was doing it for the audience. They like it when I do weird noises. They tell me. They write me emails. They say, Joe, our favourite part of the podcast is when you make weird noises with your mouth.
Yeah, I've never seen those messages before.
No, they don't send them to you. They send them to me.
They don't send it to me. Of course, no. That's fair enough. So my number 10 is Pogs or Tarzos.
What is that? What is a Pog?
This guy doesn't even know what a Pog is. I'm very surprised at you. Are you from the 90s?
I am from the 80s.
So Pogs are like Tarzos. They pretty much were Tarzos, right? Tarzos were just the Australian kind of version of them. They were like, oh, this is a great idea. We're going to take them.
Why different?
I imagine just the distributors in Australia, one's a toy company. The other is like from Smith or Lay's or something, right?
So tell me what a Pog is. I still don't understand.
A Pog is like a little round disc, that you would... I don't even remember what you did with them. I think you played a game where you had to flick them up in the air and you tried to steal other people's Pogs. Sort of like marbles, but with flat discs.
Okay.
So you ever played with Tarzos though, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how Tarzos, the game works? Or you've ever familiar with the general idea?
There was the normal Tarzos and then there were the bigger fat Tarzo.
Yeah, and what'd you do with Tarzos?
You throw the big Tarzo at the little Tarzos.
And you try to break them apart. Yeah, that's basically Pog.
Okay.
So, but Tarzos in your chips. I guess we'll call it Tarzos in your chips because that was what everyone looked forward to. It was the only reason to buy chip packets, aside from chips, was to get the Tarzos. And if you had a sibling, oh man, yeah, it was a fight for the Tarzo.
Yeah, so you would fight with your brother over the Tarzos.
Of course.
And the Pogs.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never heard of Pogs. Is this a real thing?
I never owned Pogs, right? But they were pretty much the original Pogs.
Why didn't you just say Tarzo?
Because I remember Pogs, okay?
But you said you never had a Pog.
Yeah.
So you remember not having Pogs?
I do remember not having Pogs and being very jealous.
That was your number 10 of things that you remember from
your
childhood.
Exactly, you know.
Something that I didn't have.
I remember seeing Alf back in Pog form.
So you saw it on Alf?
I saw Alf in Pog form.
So you saw a Pog of Alf, but you never had one?
Yeah, and I also saw
a number 10 thing.
Yeah, I also saw a couple of other ones too, you know, I don't know. Whatever. I'm just quoting from The Simpsons. That's where I remember it from.
So you saw The Simpsons,
yeah,
and you saw
Pogs.
that they had Pogs, and you go, oh yeah, I remember that from my childhood.
Well, how could you not? It's not like, oh yeah, I love having Pogs.
This is a fraudulent list.
Alright, so we'll change Pogs to Tarzos to make you a little bit happier. I had Tarzos. Yes, I did. Alright? I didn't understand how they worked.
Nobody understood how they worked.
I don't think anybody in Australia understood how they worked.
Did anybody play that game?
No. Was it just trading? I think it was just more trading cards.
You just collected them. You just demanded that your parents buy you chips so you could have more Tarzos.
Get the free Tarzo, which is kind of cool. It's still cool. I mean, if you got free stuff in your chips.
If I had the choice between that packet of chips and the packet of chips that had Tarzo in it, I would pick the Tarzo.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
You get a Tarzo, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can play this game.
Yeah. Nobody knows how to play.
You could collect them.
Yeah.
And potentially sell them. When you were older.
When you're old. Well, that's what everyone thought, too. That they would be able to collectible things that were so rare.
You would sell the full collection.
When you're later on. Or alternatively, you'd make a pact so whoever died last would be buried with the Tarzos.
Yeah.
Or in the case that'd be the case of Pokemon cards, at least. Which I currently own
Do you still have Pokemon
collection.
cards?
I still have an entire collection of Pokemon cards.
How much is that worth?
I actually did the numbers on that recently, and maybe about $250. One of the because I have a lot of first generation holographics. I don't have any first editions, but one thing I did have, which is in poor condition, I have a rare misprint of Pikachu. And Pikachu in the original base set had pink little cheeks, and that got changed to orange in the later sets. I have a pink cheek Pikachu, and that's worth like about $40, $50. It's in a terrible condition, so it's only worth like $5.
Okay.
So I'm really kicking myself for not keeping him in better condition.
Cool.
Yeah.
My number 10 was watching TV on Sundays when I was pretending to be sick, so I didn't have to go to church with my parents.
You're a liar. Your lies. I think your lies continue from one podcast to the next.
I think I was just joking that I was pretending to be sick. I think I was actually sick. I think I just wanted to be sick more. I don't really remember. I was very small. But my main memory is being quite small, staying home from church and watching this horror kids TV show that they had. I can't remember what it was called. It was a long time ago.
Was it a cartoon or?
It wasn't it happened to a friend of mine show. It wasn't that
was
one. It was this show, and there was this one particular episode, right? Well, there were two that I clearly remember watching on Sunday mornings. One was this child befriended like an evil garden gnome.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's Goosebumps.
I don't think it was Goosebumps.
It's Goosebumps. I remember that episode of the evil garden gnome of Goosebumps, and
really?
like he gets turned into a garden gnome at the end.
I remember Goosebumps, and there was another one. No, I think this was before Goosebumps was a TV show.
Okay, what happened in the other episode?
And the other one was this kid went down there was like this basement. Yeah. This kid sacrificed his little sister.
Oh, actually no, it's different. It's like the Midnight Society, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it was. I remember John did a video about it ages ago.
He sacrificed his sister to the basement for a new bike.
Okay, so I remember that. I remember that too. I remember those two things. I can't remember what Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think it was called.
Oh, okay.
That's it. It's Are You Afraid of the Dark? But I remember that one. The gnome one was so scary, right?
Yeah.
Because gnomes, man. Like, you know what? After that, I was just like convinced gnomes come to life at night. So you kind of like just treated the gnomes like shit because you didn't want the gnomes to attack you.
You know, one of my favourite shows when I was growing up was At the Movies with David and Margaret. Used to always watch it.
You were a boring kid. You were a boring kid.
I just love TV. And I watched a lot of TV. Are You Afraid of the Dark was a little bit before my time because I was too young to really remember much of it. But one of the things that happened from watching that gnome episode of that show was that I was a little bit afraid of Margaret because I thought that she was an evil gnome as well.
You must have had the most interesting childhood, I swear.
It was the pointy ears, man.
Pointy ears, really?
She has pointy ears.
So she's a gnome. She's an evil gnome.
She's clearly some sort of elf or gnome.
Could be.
She is. Have you seen her?
No.
Margaret, from David and Margaret.
No, I don't remember how her ears look.
Like pointy, like an elf.
Well, there she goes. She's like an elf then, I guess. She's clearly a gnome. She doesn't have a beard, though.
She was evil. No, the garden gnomes didn't have beards.
Garden gnomes have beards?
No, garden dwarfs have beards.
Oh, garden gnomes are garden dwarfs. No, what? What?
Number 9.
No, stop. Go back. Stop.
No.
We
don't have time for this.
This is crap. What is this? Okay, gnomes and elves. Garden gnomes and garden elves are the exact same thing, right?
No, dwarves. Dwarves are different. Dwarves have beards. Gnomes are little things that live in your garden. Dwarves live underground.
I thought we were talking about we're talking about the ones that stand in your garden, right?
That's a gnome.
A garden gnome.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I said.
Yeah, and no, they all have beards, man.
No, they don't.
I haven't seen a garden gnome that doesn't have a beard.
Gnomes
except maybe
don't
the
have
women.
beards.
And they're usually the women gnomes
What?
are usually in bikinis. Because it's supposed to be funny. Like the garden gnomes and the garden gnome woman is in a bikini. The rest are like Papa Smurf and shit. Wearing like, I don't know, they got like long beards and they're like got a pick. Or they've got like a barbecue or something like that. And just like, hey, in that video where you tried out for ABC3, right? And
you're going to have to tell that story.
Okay, you're going to have to tell that story, Joe. You tried out for ABC3, which I thought was actually pretty good. And as far as I'm concerned, from the people I've seen at ABC3, he should be on there. Basically, he tells a joke to a garden gnome.
Yeah.
And he goes, what's the joke, Joe?
I don't remember.
It's something like, what did the squid say to the octopus? I've got too many tentacles or something. He's just trying to make up a joke at the time. And we zoom in on this, like, really creepily on the gnome's face. Yeah. And just like, oh, gosh. So, gnomes have beards.
No.
All right, whatever.
I disagree with you, but moving on to number 9.
What did you wrote down, Joe wrote down my list, actually, and he wrote ace.
Yes.
What is ace?
Well, you're the one who said it.
Yeah. Okay, so I remember it is now. It's Ace of Base, right?
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So Ace could be anything, right? Like Ace Lightning.
Yes. Ace Lightning was
it
a little
2000s,
early
though?
2000s, yeah, so you can't use that on the
I didn't
Switch.
actually watch it anyway.
Ace of Base.
Ace of Base.
Tell me, why do you remember Ace of Base?
Because when I think of the 90s, all I think about is the song I Saw the Sign, right? That's pretty much when, if you ever wanted to set in the future, like they want to set a time of being in the mid-90s or even just in the 90s, a classic song that will, set the mood. Much like how All Along the Watchtower is used whenever you want to say, hey, we're in the 60s now.
Yeah.
Alright? You just use I Saw the Sign. It'd be playing through someone's car radio while they have like a mullet or something.
Yes.
I don't know, however they dressed back then. And, that would say, okay, we're in the mid-90s in Metropolis or wherever.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's also dear to your heart because you used it in a video of one of our early collaborations, something called Religion Rangers.
Ah, yes, I did, yes.
Which you can still find on YouTube.
Is it still on there, probably?
It still is.
Still on there, yep, you can.
It's not great.
It's pretty bad. We started off with 3 people presenting, and we couldn't find Freemasons. We were trying to find them. The evil Freemasons wouldn't open up their doors.
Yeah, Religion Rangers was this concept where we would go around and investigate religions. We did Freemasons and didn't really get any good interviews.
We didn't get any good interviews.
We didn't really know what we were doing.
So we just, like, one of our friends who hadn't done anything, who was already on camera before, we said, hey, we found a Freemason. And he pretended to be a Freemason. Then we tried doing the Scientologists one.
We did a Scientology episode, yes, that was never released.
Because it was really creepy. Because, like, we did the interview with the guys, right? And I'm on camera, and one of the guys is filming, and the other guy's, Joe's with the clipboard. And there's another guy in the center, just starts taking photos of us, interviewing, and I'm like, okay, this is really creepy. Like, I understand that we're filming as well, but it's like, I would have liked to have been told that why you were taking photos. Could it have been for his website, or would it be something else?
No, I think it was for their secret Scientology database where they collect pictures of people that they think are against
It is a little
church.
creepy, right?
So I'm kind of glad that we never released.
And we did
that.
a Mormons one too. We tried interviewing the Mormons, which was kind of
cool.
cool.
They wouldn't be on camera.
They wouldn't be on camera, this is the big problem. That a lot of people wouldn't go on camera. So it was like, well, how do they know they're real, And of course, what happened? The guy used your phone to call the Mormon president of Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we're like, we have his number. So we called his number and we left some, like, a message saying that, hi, my name is a friend of mine. And me and my wife are having a bit of a marital issue. I need to talk to you. Please call me. And I gave him my friend's phone number. He never got a phone call, but
I felt really bad about that because the Mormons were really nice people.
Dude, Mormons are really nice. Surprisingly super nice. So, like, they were kind of cool with the interview. They didn't try to, like, kill us or
they were
abduct
really
us.
cool. The
they were
Mormons
really
are
cool.
generally nice people. They get a bad rap because they
do.
go and knock on your door a lot, but they're actually really cool.
Well, the thing is, they do get a bad rap for that, but at least, I can respect that they're standing up for what they believe and actually in the face of, like, constant refusal. Like, people are just going to be like, no, I'm not interested,
Yeah.
And that hurts, like, being a sales guy trying to do that. This is for your religion. It's like, it's more than most people would do, And
Sure.
whether you believe it or not, you can at least respect the efforts that they're making.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, what's your number? 9.
My number 9 is being obsessed with Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon.
Yes.
This was before I really had a concept of Japanese culture and anime, and I never became interested. I never became one of those anime people, but everyone in the 90s, for some reason, was obsessed with Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah, it was such a good show, though.
It was pretty good.
Like, I've watched Dragon Ball Z numerous times, even in my adult life, and it's still pretty alright. Like, if you've seen other anime, it's not that great of when it goes to, like, storytelling wise. Like, it's so slow.
Well, most animes are quite slow.
Yeah, and there are better ones out there, and I can't really watch. This is one of the few animes I cannot watch the original Japanese of, just because at such a young age you watched Goku, you watched Krillin, you watched Vegeta.
Yeah, you're familiar with their voices.
And you just can't hear the high pitched voice of Goku or anything like that. So, Pokemon as well, same example. Yeah.
I generally try to watch things in their original language with the subtitles, but I agree with you. You can't do it with Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon because you have that nostalgia for the English voices.
Recently, I found that even more difficult. I used to watch Naruto when it was subtitled, and I did not have a problem with that. This was back in, like, 2006 when we didn't have mobile phones. Now we've got, like, an infectious, because it's called second screen viewing, is this really insidious sort of thing that's crept into all of our lives, which allows us to still watch movies. But if you ever watch a subtitle movie, you're screwed. You are so screwed, because if you look at your phone like you would normally do for a second, you're gonna miss so much.
You see, I don't suffer from this because I use my phone for texting and calling, and that's it.
Because our friend of yours gave you an old iPhone because you wouldn't upgrade because you loved your flip phone too much.
I loved my flip phone.
It didn't have I'm not championing Facebook, but Facebook at the very least does
I don't need it on my phone.
It gives you instant messaging
I don't need it.
what you needed.
I don't need it.
You don't need it?
I'm happy enjoying my film. Just enjoy that. Be in the moment. You don't need to be second screen viewing. This is rubbish. You go to cinema, somebody's on their phone. Turn off your phone.
Now that one I don't have that one I have a problem with. Okay, if you're in the cinema, I'm paying good money, right, to watch this movie. I'm not paying good money to watch someone else's screen. If I wanted to do that, I'd sit at home and watch my own damn screen. Yeah. Now, if I'm sitting at home, it's not such a big deal, right, with me if someone's using their phone, because one, usually it's not pitch black, and two, it's generally free content.
Yeah.
You know, so that doesn't bother me. But in a cinema, geez, if you don't turn off your phone, or at least put it on silent and only check your message if your wife's having a child, right, and for some reason you're in the cinema, I don't know why.
Go to the hospital.
Go to the hospital, right? Whatever. That's okay to check your phone if you get a text message because, hey, maybe your wife's in the hospital. But other than that, just don't do it. Or answer the phone outside. Don't check Facebook. Don't post on Facebook. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't talk on the phone in the cinema.
Nobody has an exception to this rule.
This guy, I was watching Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And this guy had like an iPad.
Yeah.
And he was a few rows down. It's a packed out cinema. First night. I shouted obscenities at him.
Yeah.
And people cheered for me.
Dude, I've done that before too. People have looked at me like, oh, I can't believe you do that. That's so rude. I've gone and I've leaned over a person's chair who was actually looking at it right in their face. It was super bright. And I said, excuse me, can you please not use your phone?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
I feel like I'm paying money for this damn thing. I'm not paying to look at your phone.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a lot of friends. I get that. Yeah. Maybe you don't have any friends. That's why you're on Facebook.
Yeah, trying to get friends.
Trying to get friends. Just please leave it. Go to the toilet if you must check your phone.
Yep.
Right? Just do that.
I once told off a woman for sending emails in a restored print screening of Stalker from Tarkovsky, who's one of my favourite directors, at the Brisbane Film Festival.
To be fair.
And an old man shook my hand afterwards and said, thank you.
With especially with art films, that one makes more sense because a Blockbuster, I can understand.
Yeah.
Anybody could go to that for whatever reason. If you're going to an art film or a film festival, chances are you're,
you want to see the film.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 8.
Independence Day.
The day or the movie?
No, I especially remember the July 4th in those days. Of course, those were the best days, best days of my life seeing those fireworks. Of course it was the movie. Of course it was the movie. That was the best movie. These days, whenever Independence Day comes along in America, what does everyone think of? It's not
fireworks
and stuff. It is Randy Quaid. It's Randy Quaid. I think it's Randy Quaid.
Will Smith. It's Will Smith.
No, Randy Quaid or Quaid, I think was his last name, was the character who was flying the fighter jet.
Ah, yeah.
Okay. I fly, I pilot, and he goes and he goes up into the alien's secret weapon, and he's like, hello boys, I'm back, and then he blows up, and that was the coolest movie. It was such a bad movie. It's so terrible of a movie.
It's
good.
It's so
good that it's terrible. It's so bad in this sense, but it's not Fast and the Furious bad, where it's bad, but all the characters are pretty aware it's bad, and it's I love that scene in Fast and the Furious where there's that product placement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy's like, oh, here's some Coronas, and Vin Diesel just looks at the camera, and everyone laughs with him. And it's not Michael Bay bad, where it's it's got the sincerity. It's sort of a mix between the two. There's a little bit of joking and a little bit of sincerity, so that you can sort of straddle that fine line. I compare it to the game Saints Row 2. Okay? This game had some wild, wacky stuff. And if you ever played Saints Row, the new games are just out of their mind crazy. They're just wacky. And I don't like that. They're too wacky. I lose in that universe. It's not interesting. I want some reality, but I also want some wackiness. And that's some fun I can have,
Cool.
So what about you?
My number 8 was not having video games.
Well, there we go. It was a good segue, actually.
I loved video games. I was obsessed with them. But we were never allowed them in our house, and I remember going to a friend's house to play Mortal Kombat, and coming home, and then making a board game, which is basically drawing Mortal Kombat on a piece of paper, and drawing health bars and stuff, and coming up with all these rules, so that I could play my own board game version of Mortal Kombat.
That's really sad.
It was pretty sad.
That's pretty sad.
It's pretty sad.
To be honest, no, I can't really say anything else other than that it's pretty sad. It's sadder than those games that were released that are handheld units.
Yeah.
That were based on the video game, but they're not really. They had little brick characters in them, and they had an inbuilt shoot 'em up game. It's really sad.
I didn't get a game
Yeah.
playing machine until I was about 13, and our uncle gave us a computer, and I used to play. We had a few games on there, and I used to play a couple of them.
I used to have a Sega Mega Drive.
Sega Mega Drives were amazing.
Yeah, they were good. I only ever
Do you still
had...
have it?
No. Dude, I have no idea what happened to it. It was either a Sega Mega Drive or a Sega Master System. Whichever one, anybody out there knows this, came pre-built with Alex the Kid as
Alex
the game
Kid is
built
amazing.
into it. Like, it was built into it. So we never had any video games other than Alex the Kid.
Alex the Kid, so
because I guess we didn't understand that you could put video games in it, because we were like, maybe, I was like 3 or 4 or something,
okay.
so I didn't understand. And my friend that I used to see sometimes, like, because my mum had you have a friend because your mum had a friend. He had a Nintendo, so, like, you know, I just played his Nintendo. We played Alex the Kid, and then that's it. That's all we ever played. And then I got a PlayStation when I was like 7 or 8 for my birthday.
Yeah,
not my birthday, Christmas combined with my brother. You know,
cool.
Because my birthday is around Christmas.
When I was about 14, I won a PlayStation 2 and about 10 games through K-Zone.
Oh yeah, I remember you hearing that in high school.
Yeah.
It
was like the best day of
my life. You were like,
life.
oh my gosh, this.
My parents let me keep it because I won it, and my life was forever changed. I later bought an Xbox.
Yep,
when I was a bit older.
And an Xbox.
Still have it.
Or an Xbox
I bought
360,
it
you mean?
360. Yeah, I didn't get the original Xbox.
I'm not going to get an Xbox One. Just not going to do it.
Thanks for
Just want to put that in there. Just want to put that in there.
Number 7.
Blur. Not the band. The fact that I can't remember a lot of things in the 90s, so it's kind of a blur. Like, there are parts that would be relevant to me and no one else, like going to Tasmania. And then there's other stuff, but there's regarding world events, nah, I remember a lot. It's all kind of a blur. 9/11.
That was the 2000s.
I'm not saying from 9/11 on was something that I can remember, because everything's had a focus on in 9/11. Everyone was geared towards terrorism, so everything is easy to categorize maybe in my brain. So it's like, it's really easy to remember 9/11, Bali bombings, invasion of Iraq, invasion of Afghanistan, the London bombings, you know, there's all that stuff happened because it's all the same. I don't know what happened in the 90s, other than a few things.
Well, to be fair, we were both born in 1989.
Yeah.
So for the duration of the 90s, we were under 11 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So forgive us for not remembering a lot. You know, us 90s kids, we don't have real nostalgia.
No.
No.
Just fake nostalgia.
Fake nostalgia.
Which we will talk about soon.
Yes, we will.
My number 7 was the sugary lollipops that I used to get from the pool.
What kind of sugary are we talking? Like?
So it's like it's a lollipop. There was this compacted different color. You know, there's like 4 or 5 different colors.
And yellow
pink
and blue.
And yellow.
Yeah,
and
that was
blue.
my favorite lollipops. Yeah.
I used to get them from the pool when we went swimming.
And
also, at the same shop, you could get fags.
Yes, you could get fags, which
not for cigarettes, and not the derogatory term for gay person, and not the pile of sticks.
Yes,
but the
cigarettes.
No, wait. Faggot is a pile of sticks. Yes.
I don't know what...
Fag is term for cigarette, which was also the branded name of the lollipop.
Which
stick.
Really brings up really weird how, like, one, these were very much cigarettes for kids.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I don't know necessarily if there was something seriously...
I bet you they were owned by a tobacco company.
I don't know if they were seriously nefarious about it.
Kids just want to smoke.
Kids
want to be like an adult.
Yeah, they saw that and they're like... Because, like, you know why? If you've ever seen some kids, like, actually when I was playing, you'd have, like, a little amount of a pencil in your mouth, and you add that cigarette because that's what Desperados had and all that stuff, you know? You'd be like, you'd be pretending to blow on bloody wood, and some guys were like, you know, I can just turn that into a lolly.
Yep.
However, today, man, no, wow, okay, no, I can't, they can't exist, right? I think they were called, they changed, their name first got changed to Fads, and then I think they got changed in color, because they originally were white.
I thought they were always pink.
No, they used to be white, right? They used to be white ones, and they were very much like cigarettes, right? They got changed to pink because, you know, they're musk sticks, so why not? But yeah, and then also they're named fags, which, I mean, in Australia does mean, you know, a cigarette, but actually, have a packet of fags? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it still works. Like, it's still weird to say. Like, unless you're in a country town, I couldn't, or unless you're specifically asking for, can I get a fag? Can I bum that fag? That sounds fine, alright?
Yeah.
Anything else? Nah, be weird.
Yeah, it would be weird. Number 6. What was your number 6, Anthony?
The Millennium. Number 6 was the Millennium.
Falcon?
No. Yeah, the Millennium Falcon. No, of course. Everyone preparing for the Millennium. I don't know how many people out there, his parents did this, but my dad did this. He was not crazy, right? But the thing was, a lot of people got hooked in this Y2K fever, and it became a case of, if I don't do it, I look like a fool, right? So my dad basically buys maybe a decent amount of preserved like food. So we're talking like canned
Canned
food. And canned food tends to suck. It's not the best food. Some food is good, but I would never
It's
want
okay
to...
now.
Yeah, I would not want to eat canned food. And yeah, now it's actually not that bad. He bought that. He bought a decent amount of that. And he filled up a big container of water.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a good idea. It was a big
Yeah.
container. We're talking like maybe the size of a big industrial rubbish bin. Not
Yeah.
like a rubbish bin, but it's like a big metal container.
Yeah.
It's for use whenever. That's a good idea. Here's the thing. Y2K happened. And then we were left with all this tin. Do you think we would let that go to waste? No, of course not. What do we eat for the next couple of months? Tin food. Yeah. So the millennium really stuck out in my mind as the big thing in the 90s.
Your parents
We're prepping for the millennium, at least.
Yeah, your parents are notoriously thrifty. So
Yeah.
I can imagine that there was a lot of tin food eating in your household.
Yeah.
My number 6 was wearing your hat backwards. It was cool.
It was cool to wear your hat backwards, and also crushing the what's it called? The front part of your hat,
The brim?
the brim, crushing the brim into like a
You
a
squeeze
triangle
it.
shape.
It was cool to make it squashy. Now it's cool to be flat.
Yeah, it is. It's totally cool to be
All
super
the kids,
flat, right?
they have the super flat.
Which I mean,
brims.
is whatever, and cool, and it's a different type of hat too.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lot more rounded as opposed
Yeah.
to the other ones, which is more of a baseball cap.
Yeah. Fashion, eh?
Fashion, it's the thing you do.
Number 5.
Amazing. Yes, the TV show, amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely, that was by far one of the highlights of our childhood, was watching Amazing, but also fantasizing
Yeah.
about being on Amazing. Because they got to play like Mario Karts and stuff, and you're like, oh man, you wish you could go in the jungle gym and stuff, and you really hope that your school would be selected, but it never would.
Yeah.
And then later on you realize it's probably because people...
It was a New South Wales thing. They did
Yeah,
that.
had to be a New South Wales thing. So it's like, that's the disappointment of life. Maybe we as 90s kids, we learn this. The great disappointment of life is that you'll never be on Amazing,
I really wanted to be on Amazing.
It probably explains a lot of our culture today.
What?
The fact
You
that we're
wanna
not
run
on...
through a maze and hit giant buttons.
We
and
want
get...
to be on Amazing so much, but we can't be on Amazing. Like, it's a futile goal. Our dreams are smashed. And so now we had these aspirations and dreams that we thought we could achieve and we just can't. And instead of like trying to move on, we still cling to these old dreams.
My primary school went to Wipeout. They did Wipeout.
Really?
Yeah, but it was a couple of grades above us, so I didn't get to go.
That sucks. It's so
They
crap
won
when they
like
do that,
a
right?
set of Encyclopedia Britannica or something.
Oh yeah, that's good. Good. Remember when that was a thing?
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Now we have Wikipedia.
Yeah, like, the second that happened, yeah, you did not need, like, you don't need encyclopedias.
No.
Wikipedia is so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe not back in the old days. It was pretty
Encyclopedia is
bad in the
defunct
old
now.
days. Yeah, does it even exist?
They still have them, but why would you need them? Because there's so much information on the internet.
Yeah.
And
The only way
there's good quality information on the internet.
only way
now.
I could ever see it being of any real value is encyclopedia, but of real scholarly stuff. So, like, we're talking, like, they peruse journal articles, and it's fresh scientific data from that.
Yeah.
That would make sense because that's
collated
behind...
scientific
Most of that
data.
stuff is behind a paywall in a university.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense that you would be able to collate that information. And especially if it were a specific course, like medicine or something.
Yeah.
Then everyone would buy them. Or at least buy the e-copy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 5 was remembering everything was satanic. Pokemon was satanic.
Really?
According to the religious groups. Harry Potter was satanic.
Boy, was it ever.
Dungeons and Dragons was
Satanic.
satanic. Everything was satanic. You weren't allowed to do anything cool.
Mario
It's like,
was satanic.
Harry Potter, that's about witchcraft. Witches are evil, it says in the Bible. You can't play Pokemon because that's slavery. They're putting
Also,
those
it
animals in
teaches
the ball.
evolution.
And it teaches evolution, yeah.
Which, I mean, it doesn't really
Satanic.
teach evolution, but that's fine.
Dungeons and Dragons is not something I specifically remember from the 90s because I didn't start playing it until I was... We played it when we were about 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And we have multiple Dungeons and Dragons stories, but we'll probably save them for another time. Because it got pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you came. Did you come
I
at
never
all?
came once because you wouldn't let me.
No, that's because
You thought
you're a douche.
Yeah, no, you thought, my mom would never let me in.
Yeah,
let him
because
in
you
the house.
smoked in high school.
I wouldn't smoke at your house. I'd smoke in private.
And you swore too much. You still swear
I
too
swear
much.
too much, but you caught up. That's the difference, right?
I know,
caught up
I'm-
in swearing.
I'm not a swearing person.
You
have I sworn on this podcast
Have I sworn on
once?
this podcast once before? No, never me. What? No.
I haven't.
The very thing, the idea that I would swear is just ludicrous, and I reject your notion.
Number 4.
Digimon.
What do you remember about Digimon?
Oh, if anybody out there knows me personally in real life is probably going like this, laughing.
Anthony has the best Digimon story of anyone.
Okay, so Digimon was a big thing. I'm in grade 5, basically, this stage. It's at 1990, or 1998, 1999 or something.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever, My Digimon started beeping in the middle of class, and it was just growing, right? And I was like, oh no, I gotta feed my Digimon. My teacher took my Digimon from me. She's like, you can't have the Digimon. So then, and she made me stand up the front with her, and I hear my Digimon crying. It's crying. It is begging for food. As its humble, as the
Provider.
love, the provider, the love that you have, I just couldn't take it anymore, right? Now, this is where the story ends. This is where the story differs for a lot of people. Okay.
No, your Digimon was dying here.
My Digimon was dying, okay? So this is what some people will say about the story, because I don't know how they heard this story or interpreted it.
Do you want me to tell my version
You tell
of what
the
I
story,
heard?
yeah, from what you heard.
So Anthony grabs the 1 meter ruler on the front of the classroom and slams it down on the desk and shouts, I need my Digimon back! I have to feed him! He's dying! And you shout at the teacher and she runs out crying, and they go and get this other teacher to come and restrain you and take you away. Take you away from your dying Digimon as tears rolled down your cheeks.
Okay, so actually other versions of that story had me hitting the teacher with the ruler, which I didn't do. Here's what actually happened. Okay, so I lifted the ruler really angrily up, and then I dropped it. Right? Made a loud smack noise. It sounded like I smashed it down, but what I really did was I just got really pissed off and I grabbed the 1 meter ruler and I lifted it up, like kind of throw it up and dropped it down, or even just threw it down, right? So it smacked really hard, and that scared the shit out of the teacher. She was just like, right? And I stormed outside.
Yeah, because it's like a gunshot.
Yeah, and I was like really upset, and like my Digimon was gonna die. Later on, when I got my when I talked, blah, 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 all that teacher stuff, oh, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 I'm so sorry that I did all those things, I'm really sorry. I was partially sorry, I also wasn't sorry because she stole my stuff.
Your Digimon was dying, bro.
Turns out, it was actually the best thing that ever happened to my Digimon. By neglecting the Digimon, it digivolved, into Angelmon, which was, at that time, the strongest Digimon that you could get on the base set. Yeah. Right? You had to mistreat your starter. You really did. You had to neglect it. To the
I
point,
thought if you neglected it, it would turn into the poo shooter one.
No. See, if you neglect it enough, right?
Yeah.
You neglect it enough, it turns into something different, and then that turns into Angelmon, right? So you have to neglect it enough because it's such a risk that it could die.
Yeah.
Because I neglected it, boom. It turns out that was actually the best thing that could ever happen to me. So that's very distinctive in my mind.
Cool. My number 4 was downloading and ripping. This was magic in the 90s. I didn't understand. People would download films off this thing called the internet.
Yep.
What's that? They're getting films off DVDs and putting them on their computer. And I remember being at a New Year's Eve party, right? And there were some adults there, and they were ripping this film, and it took about 6 hours to rip this film.
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yeah, like
honestly, why bother?
No one really understood. I didn't understand ripping either when I was young.
It was magic.
It was on CDs, so I was like, why bother?
I didn't even have a computer.
Yeah, it was all magic to you then.
I used to draw video games.
You did.
I didn't know how ripping worked.
It's really funny. It's really still one of my favorite stories.
Number 3.
Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Yeah, do you really remember that? Or
okay, so the reason why it sticks out distinctly in my mind was this happened when I was over in Europe with my family, right, on a trip, okay? Basically, and this was all over the newspapers, stuff like, I didn't have sexual relations with that woman, I didn't really care what was going on because I was a kid, but we went to England, and when you go to England, like, you can get one of the common things that a lot of people look for in England is fish and chips wrapped in, newspaper. That's a thing they do, right? Right? That's a thing that they're known for doing. So that's one of the things that, you want to do when you're over there. We got fish and chips, and we went back to the hotel. Now, the fish and chips was wrapped in the newspaper, and the newspaper ink had started to leak a little. My brother's fish had been wrapped in a page, right? It was extra greasy, and it was wrapped in a page of the headline, which said to Bill Clinton, he lied. When he opened the page, right? So when he opened the fish, what happened was that the words lied were now all over his fish. That's what really stuck out to me. I was like, wow, and then I was just like, you lied.
Would they have been backwards?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember being imprinted on the fish, and I remember seeing the thing on the headline.
Did your brother eat the fish?
Yeah, it's ink. I don't know. Like, he wasn't going to not eat it.
Yeah.
So, and my mum, I didn't really wouldn't have cared. Like, it's not like, probably like, it's not poisonous to eat it if you're like, if they wrap their fish in it. I imagine you could probably eat enough.
Your mum would have laughed.
She'd be like, ah! I don't know. She would have laughed and stuff. Found it funny.
My number 3, we've already talked about this a little bit.
Yep.
Getting a computer is kind of a big deal for me, getting a computer. Because my childhood, I don't know if you've gathered this yet, but my childhood was a bit sheltered. Basically, all I did was watch TV. I wasn't really an outside person. I just kind of sat inside and watched everything that I could watch. I could pretty much, if you named a TV show from the 90s that was on free to air, I've probably seen most of the episodes. Name one, let's play.
I can't.
Why not?
Because I had cable TV.
Yeah, and you watched different stuff.
I watched good quality TV. I watched good stuff.
Like what?
Anything else?
No, name one. Did you watch Art Attack?
Yeah, I did watch Art Attack, actually.
Art Attack.
And I watched, there was a lot of Disney Channel. I had the Disney Channel, and you had, Nickelodeon and stuff.
Yuck.
So, you could watch a whole bunch of that cool stuff, like DuckTales. DuckTales was cool,
DuckTales
right?
was pretty cool.
Yeah, and
I watched DuckTales.
Also, I watched a lot of history documentaries.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
When you were a child, you watched history documentaries?
Yeah.
I didn't watch any documentaries. I just watched a lot of children's TV.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Well,
what
else are you going to watch, right?
Do you remember...
Sports? That was
No,
the worst.
why would you watch
That was
sports?
the worst on Saturdays, hearing the Wide World of Sports theme song,
Yeah.
It was just like,
Yeah.
or dun 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 dun. Yeah, that was just sends shivers down your spine because it's like playtime's over now. Also, it means Dad will come in about halfway through watching cartoons on another channel and go, "Oh, hang on, son, just got to check the score."
Yeah.
He'll grab the remote, he'll check the score, sit down for 20 minutes, and go, "Oh, here you go." He gives you the remote back,
TV
and by that
finished.
time the TV just finished. And he was like, I hate sports. I hate cricket so much for that reason. I just can't get into it. That's all I see. I've tried, honestly.
Yeah.
I used to hate Vegemite, and I tried some, and I ate it, and I was like, wow, I actually like this. So I tried watching the cricket. I can't get into it. I can't do it. I just
Cricket
can't do
is
it.
so boring, man.
I just can't watch it. It's 5 hours of people standing around. I just can't do it.
Number 2.
Getting the internet.
Cool.
Yeah. And Neopets.
Did you get the internet when you were in primary school?
Yeah, I remember getting it was like 1997.
I didn't get the internet till I was like 15
Or 1999
years old.
or something. I don't remember. I was pretty young, at the time I got it. I remember playing Neopets on it a lot.
Tell me about Neopets. You have a long
history with
with
Neopets. Okay. So from many of my accounts where I had worked, and this is mostly in high school though.
Yeah,
But
well, tell
I'm
us
gonna tell
what
it anyway.
Neopets is, to start off with.
Yeah, who doesn't know? Okay, so Neopets was like, I don't know, you had this pet that you could have online and you could look after and feed and care for it and stuff, but you could also play games and run a shop. And this shop was like invisible money, not real money. And you explored things. Most people didn't care about their Neopets, and because
They couldn't die.
why? Yeah, they couldn't die, so it didn't matter what you did to them. So mine was always hungry and always upset, and I'd be like, I don't care. I was there trying to make some money, maybe explore some areas that were fun and play the games. It was all about playing those free games.
Yeah.
Later on in life, because there was this one game called Food Club, okay, which lets you bet a certain amount of money based on how old your Neopet account was. I had a crazy old account. I was like 7 or 8 years old, right, back in high school. So a friend of mine, an Asian friend of mine, I don't want to put his name out.
Okay.
He devised an actual betting scheme that you can actually bet on all of the things based on the odds, an equal amount of money, and you'll still win a certain amount of cash.
Yes.
Okay? So it's like, so he's like, me and him split the profit because he would use my account as well. Okay? And when I made millions of dollars, millions of Neopet money on that, millions. And it wasn't illegal, it was totally legit.
If you did this in the real world, it would be frowned upon.
It'd be frowned upon, yes. So what happened then was I accidentally logged in at high school, and then when I went to go home, I tried to log in at the same place, and we were logged in at 2 places at once.
Yeah.
My account got frozen because it looked like I was trying to hack. I was just so sad. Me and my 13-year-old dumb brain, and I say dumb, I mean really dumb, in retrospect, I'm really glad nothing happened because of this, and if I could go back in time, I would walk into my room.
Grab yourself.
I'd walk in my room, and I would smack the shit out of me for doing this. I wrote a letter to Neopet support saying that if you do not reactivate my account, that I will bomb your offices on this. And then I said, on November 15th, you will remember this day as being the worst day of your life. And then I sent that. And I thought, nothing will come of it. And I'm glad nothing did. But man, if something did, I cannot believe I did that as a kid. Like, the kids have been arrested for that now.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing you could ever do. That is so bad. I'm so glad I didn't get arrested for it.
Yes.
So,
you are.
moral of the story is,
Don't
don't
pretend
be a
to
terrorist. Yeah, don't pretend to be a terrorist. Okay? If you're a kid listening, well, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, but if you are, don't be a terrorist and don't pretend to be
It's a
one.
good lesson for adults too,
Yeah.
I think. Don't be a terrorist.
And to check it, make sure that your kids aren't, sending terrorist messages.
yeah, check on your kids because
Hey
if
son,
they get upset about
are
things-
you alright? I'm upset. My Neopets account. Alright, well, make sure you don't send any terrorist messages.
You're also a World of Warcraft person as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a World of Warcraft person
Yeah.
for a while. Yeah.
Interesting. Just going back to the Neopets
Yes.
story, the friend that you mentioned.
Yes, the friend.
You and him have a great number of stories that involve this particular character.
This particular character, we had a lot of nefarious acts that turned out were illegal. Okay, illegal.
One of my favorites was that you had put together a scam where you would download games from the internet, put them onto discs, and sell them to other
They
kids.
were like ROMs, right? The
Yeah.
ROM hacks and emulators. So then, this guy, he prints it out, right? He prints out this little sheet,
Yeah.
basically, with all of our details on it, and all of the pricing. We get pulled up by the year level coordinator, and it's like, oh my goodness, oh no, and I'm really upset, because I'm like, I don't know what I've been dragged into, right? I don't know what the hell I've been dragged into. I thought I was going to go to jail or something, or
Yeah.
get in a lot of trouble, because it's like, it's pretty bad.
It's
like,
piracy.
I thought it was piracy.
It was piracy.
This guy, right?
Yeah.
He brought in a little clipping, right, from the website that he downloaded it
Yeah.
from, basically stating like legal terms and conditions, saying it wasn't piracy.
Yeah.
Right? And the year level coordinator just was like, yeah, okay, alright then. Well, I'm still going to give you a regular school detention as opposed to an after school detention.
Oh, okay.
Those terms and conditions were probably not legit.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah. This profiting off illegal acts.
Well, I didn't know it was
high
legal.
school.
I didn't
I
know.
remember you said to me around
Yeah.
the time when we all thought that this person was going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And you turn to me and you say, one boy, 50,000 crimes. And it just stuck in my mind for some reason. We were about like 13.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really the 90s. But one more story
Yes.
with this person. After we finished school,
Yeah.
he was obsessed with gambling, even
Yeah.
while we were in school. And I remember meeting up with him at some point after we graduated, and he told me that he'd created this system that was basically illegal.
Yeah.
This mathematical system where we would bet on certain things and to benefit
That was
from gambling,
actually that was the thing that
Yeah.
spawned from the Neopets
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. And he was making a lot of money from it, but then he deviated from his formula and put a risky bet on and lost a large amount of money.
And so he doesn't do it anymore now.
So he doesn't do it anymore.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that kind of thing can spiral you out of control.
It can.
My number 2 was playing games on my computer.
Your new computer?
When I finally got the computer, I remember my childhood was suddenly all engrossed in Age of Empires.
Yep.
It was one of my favourite games. I loved Age of Empires.
The first
I
one?
dreamt about it. Yeah, I played the first one. I played Rise of Rome. I played Age of Empires 2, Age of Kings. I played Conquerors. I didn't play 3 because I was kind of grown out of it by then.
Yeah.
But I played those to death. I played Monkey Island.
Well,
I remember,
actually, Age of Empires 3 only came out like, 2004, 2006, so it's like
Yeah.
pretty long. Age of Mythology was the one
Yeah.
before that.
I loved Mythology as well, but I didn't
Yeah.
play that till later. But Monkey Island, I
Yeah.
played as well, and I remember cheating at Monkey Island, and my uncle, who gave
Oh,
me
man.
our computer,
Yeah.
was so disappointed in me because I'd looked up how to get through a puzzle on the internet, and I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
And he's since passed away, and it's like one of the things that I most regret about my childhood, cheating at Monkey Island because my uncle was disappointed in me. Why didn't I just try and do the puzzles myself?
Yeah, but then the internet came along, and you realize, walkthroughs and it's so bad.
Yeah,
You know?
but like that joy of working those point and click adventures out.
I guess if you're playing,
So good.
I guess if you're playing Monkey Island, the joy comes from that, because to
Yeah.
me, I don't find that enjoyable. Like the puzzles clicking together. Like,
No,
it's like,
it's the
no.
joy comes from working it out.
Yeah, I don't find that fun. I like to just do it.
We have a similar taste in games,
Yeah.
but some things we deviate on.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is true.
You still play League of Legends, like
I do
a
still play.
12-year-old boy.
Well, yeah, it's true. Like a 12-year-old boy, and I pretend to be a 12-year-old boy. No, I don't. Well, I probably act like one on there. But that's okay. No one knows how old I am.
They just
Yeah.
assume that you're 12.
Yeah, they're
when
going to
you
do that anyway.
type obscenities at them.
Yeah, they accuse you of being a virgin, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, sure, why not? Go away. Go with it.
Anthony is married.
Married,
But it is plausible that you still might be.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, you never know, But it must be the worst insult in the world, too, apparently.
When you're 12.
Yeah, it's when you're 12. It's the
pretty
worst. Oh, just the worst.
And finally, number one. Now, who wants to go first? Do you want me to go first or
You go first.
Okay, my number one was watching everything. We've already alluded, I spent all of my childhood watching TV. I just watched everything. Watched The Animals of Farthing Wood. I watched Ghost Bumps. All of those TV... Ghost Bumps.
Ghost Bumps.
Goosebumps.
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 Sounds like the poor knockoff version of it.
Bump in the Night.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Which one's that one?
There's like a blue globble thing that lived under the bed.
It lived under the bed, yeah. And it was like, that was a cool
Not to be
show.
confused with Johnson and Friends.
No,
that's
it's like
toys that come to life at night time.
And then Trapdoor.
Don't you open that trapdoor because there's
Something down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
Yeah, the 90s was just television for me. I don't have... Most of my memories revolve around watching
Television.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It
fair
was
enough.
the best. It was the best time. And that's why we podcast about 90s TV shows.
Yeah.
Like Round the Twist and Captain Planet. And you can find those shows if you
Really want
to listen to our podcast. Talk about those shows.
Yeah, you can find those shows. Probably have to find them on your own, but you can find them.
You can find our podcast if you come and follow us on our social media.
Oh, of course you can.
Tales from the Twists on Facebook, TFT Twists on Twitter, and
Tales from the Twists everywhere else, including iTunes. We subscribe, all the cool people that are subscribing on iTunes.
And you can subscribe on YouTube as well.
You can, apparently. That's what I've been told.
I have been told. What was your number one, Anthony?
My number one was this has spawned from when you did this, when we decided to do this 90s list. This 90s kids, 90s list, 10 things you'll only remember, things that you'll only remember you're a 90s kid. I've always felt that the 90s was a shit decade. That's my number one. Like, the 90s was not that great.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was not that great of a decade. It was okay. And I don't think there's any decade in history anyone can point to and say, that was a really awesome decade. Because there's so much boring stuff that happened in the 90s that we all forget about,
Yeah.
So much other crap. Remember, like, when we didn't have the internet?
Yeah.
And we had to go to the library to look up books, like, look up information. Yeah, sure, you got out of the house. But the amount of effort as a kid to go to the library, to go read boring books. Because remember, you're not going there for fun. You're going there to research things, which is boring, and then come back home. I'd rather be out playing when I could do that on the internet, So the internet's better today, The TV shows. We only had 3 channels. The reason why you watched all those shows is because you didn't have any other choice, And today's got problems as well. And more importantly, most people, I think, when we have this nostalgic thing, we look back on the things that we liked in the 90s, but we didn't actually like them in the 90s. There's so many things you could point to, like Nirvana. Oh, I love Nirvana. Now, some people obviously did love Nirvana in the 90s, but most of us didn't really, especially at our age, didn't really discover it
Let's
until...
be honest.
Like what?
When you were
2000s.
7 years old, you were not listening to Nirvana.
You were not listening to Nirvana, right? Chances are you weren't watching all those movies from the 90s either. You weren't watching, Hannibal or Silence of the Lambs. If you were, like, I question your parents letting you watch that movie at such a young age. And a lot of people, like, only us 90s kids will understand. A lot of people aren't.
What does growing up in the 90s, what kind of special ability or special nostalgia that you have is just specially yours that not every other generation has for the decade in which they were growing
It had
up?
good stuff, alright?
If you grow up in the 70s, it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
All this cool stuff that's happening, all the drugs and things happening in the 70s.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in the 70s. If you grew up now,
Well, like, it took the 60s or something.
ISIS.
Someone will say like this, back in the 60s, that was a decade, What was in the decade? Woodstock, all those other things, they all happened around the end of the decade, 70s, 80s, birth of computers. Today would all be about the rise of social media, the rise of the disconnected
when you're
world.
a child,
this stuff still is...
It's not
as a child,
relevant to
that
you.
doesn't matter to you. You don't care. You don't care. We know you care. What's on TV? You're watching PewDiePie. It's like, that was the best thing about your decade for kids these days. I was like, only, I don't know what you call them, 2010s will understand, and it'll be a picture of PewDiePie acting like an idiot.
Yeah.
And we'll go, yeah, I remember that guy. He was an idiot and suffering through him. All right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, the 90s weren't that great.
Yeah.
Let me just say something, though. We didn't put on this list Captain Planet or Round the Twist because it was obvious that they're pretty awesome anyway, based on our shows.
Yeah, because we podcast about them weekly.
Yeah, so, naturally. Just wanted to clear that one up.
Yes.
Yes. So, what do you think?
What do I think about what?
The 90s.
Well, haven't we just been talking about that for 50 minutes?
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Go.
Whatever.
Whatever, man. Just fine. It's whatever. It's
Do you
whatever.
want to throw in some bonus stories?
Do you have any bonus stories?
Do you have any bonus stories?
I don't have any bonus stories.
About the 90s?
No, like I said, it was a terrible decade that I can't remember. It's all a blur. It's like my child developed, I developed alcoholism or something as a child because I don't remember much about the 90s. Other than seeing Crikey the Clown in the toilet, alright.
What?
Well, we went to this truck stop, right, to go take a pee in Tasmania, and then we came out of the toilet and go, there's Crikey the Clown is on the toilet!
What's Crikey the Clown?
From Aggros.
Oh,
Yeah, from Aggro. He's got a clown. He was actually, apparently Aggro was filming there. I remember meeting, not Aggro, because I was wondering why we didn't see Aggro, and it wasn't until later on that I realized that Aggro was Jamie Dunn? Was his name? Yep. But the co-host, the host, the girl. Yeah, we met her.
Cool.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you have any other bonus stories?
No, I don't.
I'm trying to think. I definitely have some. I have some D&D stories, but I'm not sure that A, they're relevant to this podcast, and B, they're entirely appropriate.
When is anything really relevant, though, Joe? When is anything relevant in this podcast? Nothing is relevant. Everything is a mystery. You know, fate is a lie.
I've heard that.
Somewhere. I don't know where, but it seems to, naturally flow.
That's all the time we have for today. As we were saying before, if you're interested in our podcast on Around the Twist or our series of continuing Captain Planet podcast, which will be continuing
of course
over the next couple of weeks.
We're going to look at trying to do as well later on
some other shows.
Some other Australiano shows.
Cats out of the bags.
Let them out of the bags, Because, as we know, that Season 3 and Season 4 are the last of Around the Twist. And, we want to continue doing some bit of Australiana stuff. So, naturally, we want to keep the fans with that. But we'll tell you, if you want to contribute to that, obviously join the Chicken Twisties group because there's a lot of people in there. They're pretty cool,
Yes. We have a group on Facebook called Chicken Twisties, and that's for if you want to chat with us a bit further or put in some feedback for us to read out on our podcast, and we'll do that in the next couple of weeks. There's a lot to get through to read out some feedback, and if you want to contribute, what some of our listeners do is they watch the episode in advance, take some notes, post them on the Facebook page, and then when it comes time to record that episode, we refer to your notes as well as our own.
Yeah, that's good, and it's really fun doing that. I enjoy seeing the feedback.
Yeah,
a lot of the
even though some of it's pretty out there.
Oh, we're pretty out there.
We're not as out there, as some people.
Yeah,
but
still out there.
Everything's great.
Yeah, and we love contributing. We love having contribution, don't we?
We do indeed. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening. My name's been Joe Lewis.
And I'm Anthony Bull.
Thanks for listening and stay twisty.